Look at your phone for a second. That tiny slab of glass and metal in your hand is more powerful than all the computers NASA used to send humans to the moon, combined. It can talk to satellites, translate languages in real time, and play games with graphics that look like real life. But have you ever wondered how it actually works? Inside that phone is a tiny slice of silicon called a chip. These chips are the brains of the modern world. They are in your car, your microwave, your hospital's heart monitors, and the missiles that protect your country. Most people think the most important tech companies are Apple or Google or maybe Tesla. But they're wrong. There is a single company you've probably never heard of that lives in a quiet town in the Netherlands. It's called ASML. And if this one company stopped working tomorrow, the entire global economy would freeze. We would be stuck in the year 2024 forever. No more new iPhones. No more AI. No more progress. ASML has a 100% monopoly on the machines that make the world's most advanced chips. Each machine costs $350 million. It's the most complex piece of technology ever built by human beings. It's so complicated that it makes a jumbo jet look like a Lego set. But here is the first tweet. Method. ASML doesn't actually make tech in the way you think. They don't make software, and they don't make hardware. They are actually a light company. To understand how they own the world, we have to look at the magic bread analogy. Imagine the world loves magic bread, which are the chips inside your phone. To make this bread, you need a very special magic oven. Most companies like Intel or Samsung are just the bakers. They buy the oven, put in the dough, and bake the bread. But for 30 years, the world wanted the bread to get smaller and smaller, but also more powerful. In the 1970s, a chip was the size of your thumbnail and had a few thousand brain cells called transistors. Today, a chip the same size has 80 billion brain cells. To fit 80 billion things on a piece of silicon the size of a fingernail, you can't use a normal pen to draw them. You can't even use a microscopic needle. It's physically impossible. So, scientists realized they had to draw the brain cells using light. Think of it like a stencil. You shine a bright light through a pattern, and the light burns that pattern onto the silicon. But there's a problem. Light has a size. We call this a wavelength. Imagine trying to draw a portrait of an ant using a giant paint roller. No matter how careful you are, the paint roller is just too fat. You'll just end up with a big blue blob. For years, the light pens the world used were too fat. We hit a wall. Physics said we couldn't make chips any smaller. The magic bread couldn't get any better. And this leads us to the second twist. To break the rules of physics, ASML had to capture a type of light that doesn't naturally exist on Earth. They decided to use something called extreme ultraviolet light, or EUV. This light is so small and so energetic that it can draw lines that are only a few atoms wide. It's like switching from a giant paint roller to a needle made of a single hair. But here's the catch. EUV light is suicidal. It hates everything. It hates air. It hates glass. If EUV light hits a single molecule of oxygen, it disappears. If it hits a normal mirror, it gets absorbed and dies. To make this work, ASML had to build a machine that is a literal void. Inside the machine, there is a perfect vacuum, emptier than outer space. And because they couldn't use normal mirrors, they had to invent the most perfect mirrors in human history. These mirrors are so flat that if you made one the size of the entire United States, the biggest bump on the surface would be less than an inch tall. This brings us to the tin drop analogy. To create this special light, the machine has to do something insane. Inside the machine, a tiny drop of molten tin falls from a dropper. It's moving at 200 miles per hour. As it falls, a high-power laser hits it. But it doesn't just hit it once. It hits it twice. The first hit flattens the drop into a pancake. The second hit blasts it into a cloud of plasma that is 40 times hotter than the surface of the sun. This explosion creates a tiny flash of EUV light. And the machine does this 50,000 times every single second. But here is the third twist. ASML didn't even want to build this machine. Back in the 1990s, they were a struggling department of a company called Philips. They were losing money. They were the underdogs. The big giants like Nikon and Canon in Japan were winning the oven war. But the US government was worried. They realized that whoever controlled the light would control the future of war and money. So, the US Department of Energy spent billions of dollars on research and handed the secrets to ASML because they thought the Dutch were safer partners than the Japanese. ASML took that research and spent 20 years and $10 billion trying to make it work. Everyone else gave up. They said it was impossible. They said you couldn't hit a tin drop with a laser 50,000 times a second without the machine melting. ASML didn't listen. They bet the entire company on this one impossible oven. For 20 years, they made zero profit. They were just a money pit. But then in 2017, the machine finally worked. Overnight, the world changed. Suddenly, if you wanted to make the chips for the iPhone 15 or the chips for the newest AI supercomputers, you had to go to ASML. There was no other option. Nikon couldn't do it. Canon couldn't do it. No one in China or Russia could do it. ASML had achieved a level 10 monopoly. But this leads us to the fourth twist. ASML doesn't actually build most of the machine. They are the ultimate conductor. The machine has over 100,000 parts. The mirrors come from a secret company in Germany. The light source comes from a company in San Diego. The robotic arms come from somewhere else. If any one of these small suppliers stops working, ASML stops working. And if ASML stops working, the world's technology stops progressing. It's the most fragile single point of failure in the history of capitalism. Think about how dangerous that is. We have built a $2 trillion industry on a foundation of air. If a small fire happens in one factory in Germany, you might not be able to buy a car in America for 2 years. But there is an even bigger danger, the geopolitical war. Because this machine is the only way to build AI, it has become the most valuable weapon on Earth. The United States has forbidden ASML from selling their newest machines to China. Imagine if there was only one company that could make magic seeds that grow food, and that company was told they aren't allowed to sell seeds to half the world. China is now spending hundreds of billions of dollars trying to build their own version of the machine. They are trying to catch the light. But because ASML has a 20-year head start and a mountain of secret patents, it might take China decades to catch up. This creates a digital iron curtain. On one side, you have countries with the magic oven. On the other side, you have countries stuck with the old, fat paint rollers. But here is the final and most terrifying twist of all. We are reaching the end of what is physically possible. Atoms are only so small. You can only draw lines so thin before the magic bread starts to fall apart. We have spent the last 50 years getting rich by making things smaller. Our entire stock market, our retirement funds, and our global economy are all based on the promise that next year's computers will be faster and cheaper than this year's. This is called Moore's Law. And for the first time in history, Moore's Law is hitting a wall of solid lead. ASML is currently building a new machine called High-NA. It's the size of a double-decker bus and costs $400 million. It is the last Hail Mary of the chip world. If this machine works, we get 10 more years of progress. If it fails, the magic money machine that has fueled the world since the 1970s will finally stop. We have handed the keys to our entire civilization to a group of engineers in the Netherlands who are trying to hit drops of tin with lasers in a vacuum. The next time you use your phone to order a pizza or watch a video, remember the tin drop. Remember the air monopoly. And remember that the most important thing in your life is made by a machine that technically shouldn't even exist. We are all living inside a world built by ASML. We are just the subscribers to their light. The laser is firing, the tin is falling, and the future is being drawn, one atom at a time.